President Biden is being considered one of the biggest threats to the United States, and many Republicans say he is not fit for the presidential position. Many Democrats say that they are ready to move on without him. Now, I want to address if this is even possible and why are Democrats saying this? What are they considering doing? Well, we're going to address this in today's video. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So obviously, it's no secret. Republicans do not like President Biden, and they would not care if he was not the president. But now Democrats are starting to question whether or not he is fit for the job. And I want to address some of those concerns because the number one question we've been getting recently is, could Democrats replace President Biden as their upcoming nominee? Well, the answer is yes. But I want to address some of these concerns, then address the problem, and then why some are saying that the American people could suffer because of this one thing. So let's get right down to it. First off, what are the concerns? Well, I talked about this earlier on today. We've been addressing this, another issue, for a couple of weeks. And obviously, there's a few months back that we've been addressing another problem. One of the big concerns right now amongst voters is President Biden's age. He is currently 81 years old. He will turn 82 right after the next election. Former President Donald Trump is currently 77, will turn 78 in June. So he's not far behind. But voters want a younger option. Both Republicans and Democrats could give them that. However, it is highly unlikely. Another concern is that voters have been asking for additional benefits. Governors and mayors have been asking for additional assistance when it comes to the immigrant crisis and paying for things like roads and rec centers and libraries and schools, and the list goes on and on. But President Biden has vowed ever since he was running for president the first time, about 4 years ago, he vowed he would not raise taxes for anybody making less than $400,000 per year. Well, lawmakers say this is part of the problem. If they could raise taxes, they could fund Social Security past 2034. They could put more money into the border crisis. They can address the crisis in Ukraine and send Ukraine the $60 billion, send $17 billion to Israel, and send more money to Gaza for humanitarian assistance. They can't do that if they don't have additional revenue. So by not raising taxes, that's part of the reasons why they're in this issue right now, is because they're trying to overspend with the amount of money they're bringing in. But if President Biden wasn't the president, well, we could raise taxes because he was the only one that vowed not to raise taxes on people making less than $400,000 per year. Another one, voters are not happy with President Biden's handling of the Ukraine situation. They're not happy with the Middle East attacks. They're not happy with the U.S. border problem, and they're not happy with the U.S. economy. All those things are putting into question whether or not President Biden is truly fit for this job and can last another 4 years. Now, here's the problem. Can Democrats just replace President Biden with somebody else? Well, the answer is yes, they could. Here's the issue. Even though only a handful of states have actually gone through and held their Democratic presidential primaries, the problem is there's not enough time to make changes and get somebody else in. The other thing, the only real way to move on from President Biden is if President Biden himself decides to drop out before the convention. If he does this before the convention, then it's going to be a rough ride for Democrats, but they could replace him with somebody else. Here's the last one. Who would Democrats put in there as their presidential primary? As of right now, who would actually be considered? There's only a handful of people, none of which, according to reports, are good options. And the most likely option, if President Biden just decided to back out and drop out of the upcoming election, is Vice President Kamala Harris. However, according to reports, Democrats say She's not fit for the job. She's not fit for the vice presidency. So how could she run the country? Well, that's part of the issue. Here's the one hope. The one hope right now is that Congress does something that will look like a win for President Biden. This would get voters to vote for him in the upcoming election. Now, here's the problem. Democrats don't want to push for a replacement to President Biden. By doing that, they would start to see some of the problems that the Republican Party has seen, especially just by replacing former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And so because of that, they don't want to go down that road. So as of right now, is it likely that President Biden and former President Donald Trump go head-to-head again? Absolutely. Here's the problem. Many Democrats believe they are simply buying time. Right now, all they're trying to do is pass a bill to make it look like Democrats have won. Whether it's passing something on Ukraine, passing a bill on border security, all they're trying to do is pass a bill so that they can try to spin it in a way to tell the American people that they did this and this is why it is beneficial for the voters to vote for a Democrat in the upcoming election. Well, here's what I can tell you. The American people are going to suffer. We are going to suffer for another 4 years, potentially. Here's the reason why. If Republicans win, according to experts, and this is a nonpartisan group, they're saying that the reason why Americans are going to suffer is because Republicans are going to try to go and undo all the stuff that Democrats have done over the past 3 years and what they might do over the next year. Well, in doing so and doing it immediately could cause a lot of harm. Now, if they slowly undo these programs, that could benefit the American people, but the reports indicate that Republicans are planning to undo all the stuff almost immediately. So that's going to be a big issue. Here's the other one. If President Biden wins, many Democrats believe President Biden does not have another 4 years in him. So whoever the vice president may be, according to many people, that person has to be good enough to be president. Because if President Biden cannot uphold his duties, or, I hate to say it, but again, he's 81 years old, will be 82 in November. He would be turning 85 years old at the end of the next presidency, if he does win. The problem there is, what if he doesn't live long enough to run the full 4 years? The next person could become the president. So we are now hearing that there's a lot of discussions going on right now, because what we do know is that Vice President Kamala Harris will not be the next president or the next vice president. She cannot. And if she is, and that's his running mate, President Biden will not win. So we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you is there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of speculation. Is President Biden fit enough to and stable enough to actually run this country? Some say yes, some say no. All I can tell you right now is that it seems like President Biden is a massive threat to the United States. But again, it's not just because of him. It's also because of the people that are controlling him. So we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you is I'll be here every step of the way. I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.